Hey everybody, good afternoon everyone. Deb here from Deb's Corner, Canada. Happy spring, it is sprung. And so today's kind of dicey topic, or one we're going to dive into here today, is a big one I see online. I see this on a lot of the different venues online, is marriage counseling and the narcissist. It's a dicey one. It's definitely dicey. So the question here being, should you go to marriage counseling with a suspected or a confirmed narcissist? So what's going to kind of tend to happen from, from when you start the process to kind of when you're there, how it's going to end up, kind of what the end game is to it. And so really the short answer to that question, and I say this one a lot online, a lot. So, if you go on my Cura, my threads or whatever, you're probably going to see it fairly repetitively said by me because it's something that I say a lot. But really, honestly, my answer to this is you would be better off to take your money from your wallet, your purse, your pocket, wherever you keep your stash, and burn it. Set it alight. Keep you warm for the winter. Get some fuel out of it. Set your hair on fire to feel some sort of kind of warmth from somewhere or something at this point. That's about how far your money is going to get you. And really, it's better than really to even waste one red dime of honestly probably your hard-earned change on any therapy with a narcissist who has reached the age of 25. As soon as they reach the age of 25, it is done. And the reason for that is really a human being's core personality and belief system is very, very permanently locked into place. It is set in stone by this biological age. There's really not a lot of wiggle room. There is no drug, there is no pill, there is no hope, and there is certainly no counseling or therapy that is going to change this behavior. It's not going to happen. There's no way that you can kind of reset that psychological and, combined with the biological clock back to zero. It's not going to happen. There's not enough medication, counseling, therapy in the entire cosmos to cure or, or change what, who they are at the root, kind of what they are down. And so, because this condition is not conducive to change. It can't be conducive to any types of permanent, genuine change, long-term change. So, which answers really kind of a little bit. Second, kind of a 2-for-1 here of the other part of the question, and the other part of it being, can a narcissist change? Can they change or get cured with therapy? Or it'd be like asking, can they take medication? No, they can't. But again, I'm afraid here that the answer is a solid and absolute 110% no. It will not happen. They simply aren't interested in a cure. That's number one. They are interested in masquerading as your cure, though, so they will go. But for right now, it's about manipulation, playing games, stalling, things like that. For now, they're really, at this point, probably just perfectly content to watch you squirm. See you in some more pain, cry a little more, right? And you might be thinking that they're kind of in this to help you both, right? But what they're going to really do here is they're going to mirror back what's expected from them, what they think the therapist wants to see in here, right? And really, they're going to do that with you and the therapist while you're in a session. They're also going to keep that mask of sanity very firmly in place. They're going to look calm, collected, even upset, and what they're going to do there is really find out even more of your insecurities so that they can sock them away to use them later. Like, how deep does this go? How much can I get? And they're just gonna sock those away. You will even sometimes see them stifle a smile behind a Kleenex as they're like performing for this therapist and getting attention, right? But in reality, and the reality of what's really happening here is they will prey on your hope. They will prey on your sincere efforts to find the best in others, to find the best in your fellow souls. That's in essence what they're doing here. They prey upon your light by wringing out every last little bit of your time and energy as possible. In their mind, you owe them those first 3 months. You owe them with interest because they had to pay all this attention to you. You owe them, and they're going to wring every bit out. They realize at the very beginning, the first hello, they know that this inevitable implosion that always comes is en route. They've played this game before. They've done this rodeo before, and they'll do it again. Using your integrity and your good character to kind of just keep the game going, to keep it on track as long as they possibly can. As they rely really on the knowledge that their victims tend to project out their true core positive beliefs about others and behaviors like onto them. So they're counting on that. In essence, it's just really another form of narc camouflage. It's another way to camouflage and stall. And the way that really you can unmask it, taking therapy out of the topic here for just a moment. And the way that you can unmask it here really is, number one, with radical acceptance. I know. And what really also kind of comes into play with this would be energy. Where's your energy going? Who deserves your energy, your precious time? Who's draining it? Are you drained all the time when this person's around? That's a good indicator. Coupled with that kind of firm choice once you deke this out to kind of remove either yourself or that toxic person from your energy, right? Because right here, we're seeking to take care of you. And if someone's not giving back, how can you take care of yourself if you're not being fed in return? So the good news here, and this is about you, is that you can no more become a narcissist than they can become you. You can get something called narc fleas, and you can look it up. It's a thing. It is a thing. And, where you might, kind of mimic their stuff to just keep them quiet or whatever, placate them, right? But in the end, you will always revert back to your genuine core, to your true person. Like yours can't change either. So that's the good news. They actually don't have the ability, the chance, or they really, really don't care. They don't care to want to do that. So it's not going to happen. And plus they just can't. And well, really that's unfortunate for them. It's not fair to yourself to kind of go down with a ship poked full of tiny little holes. It's not fair. You can only really honestly bail so long, right? Bail the ship out with them before you yourself are going to need to look around for a life raft of sorts, right? For yourself, because you got to save yourself eventually. And by then really you might be looking around for a lifeboat that's totally submerged or also has holes in it too. So this is kind of where this is at. And our second focus here, and that I recommend, is breaking the trauma bond. I have a video on it. Please look it up or feel free to YouTube it. But breaking the trauma bond. So the trauma bond here is the glue. It's the glue, right? It's that touch. It's that intensity when you're first together. And, it's like any other kind of glue. You got to take out the nail polish remover, right? And get that kind of that sticky residue off, right? And what's going to happen if that trauma bond is not repaired and not fixed and not dealt with? It's going to be found in another body. You're just going to find it in the next body and the next body, but it'll be the same person in essence. So I also recommend here, as an aside, that your own individual counseling, or even perhaps, you can call it a shelter or a church, something like that, a women or a men's just support group, just a support group. It doesn't have to be specific, just to give yourself an external kind of sounding board and another community that you can kind of immerse yourself in, and preferably and honestly, frankly, without the narcissist having a sweet clue. That's, this is yours. This is for you to do. And you would be really honestly amazed at just kind of what little miracles can turn into big ones, right? What miracles can grow by just being able to vent without someone making fun of you. Being able for somebody to say, oh, me too, in a safe environment, or maybe give you tips on how they dealt with something that you might not have thought about, give you another viewpoint or angle that makes sense. And, and people that will truly empathize, maybe have had the same kinds of experiences, have maybe will have gotten through it, right? And at that point, you're feeding each other's heart and soul with those experiences. So that's a really good starting point. Truly taking that first big step at launching you where you want to go. This is about you. I don't care about the narcissist. I care about you. Narcissism is actually widely known in mental health circles and these types of groups as the only mental disorder where the victims and not the perpetrator or the patient presents for counseling. Basically, the one that needs the counseling is not the one that's going to show up to the therapy. It's going to be the people that are affected by them going to show up. And in the end, the narcissist will do one or a few of the same old from the well-worn pattern book they have, the same old crap, the same process, right? If there is any kind of chance of exposure, either from you, the therapist, secretary leaking, whatever it may be, they are going to bail. They're going to find a way to bail. They will find it. And they're going to use whatever flimsy excuses they think you and the therapist are going to buy, or that can't be kind of overridden. That's what they're going to do. Such as, it's too costly. They don't have the money. They just don't have the money for any more of this. It's too time consuming. All of a sudden they're going to get really busy with work or something. Their work or your work only covers X amount of sessions. And so you only have X amount. Or the therapist doesn't know what they're doing. That one will come out if, say, the therapist is starting to catch on or something like that, or making them accountable. And a well-known fact about narcissists is they will really tend to avoid therapy almost as much as being alone at home. They're always on the go, right? They can't sit still. They can't stay home. They can't be alone because they can't sit with themselves. And they will not present voluntarily or without a very specific agenda for any type of formal and especially like documented therapy. That's not going to happen. And a top reason being their absolute and utter belief, the grandiose delusion, right? That they can't possibly be the problem. It's not possible that somehow, they're involved in this. They're any kind of a problem. And in their little fantasy world in their heads, and according to their boss, who's the false persona, that is their master, that is their boss, and they work 24/7 for that cat. It's simply not in their job description to do. It's just got nothing to do with them. And it's really to them a huge waste of that performance skill set, right? Where their performance is coming into play. And a central kind of issue is there's severe difficulty in accessing that a genuine emotional depth, right? They are lacking and almost don't have it at all, frankly. But, that compassion, that connection, they don't have it to access. But they can pare it back or pay lip service while they're there. But they can't really genuinely connect with that. They cannot genuinely do the required work or maintain the mask, keep the mask on, under really close scrutiny, and especially for long and regular periods of time. They cannot do it. So, which is essential really to form any kind of for therapy, right? To facilitate progress, to achieve mutual resolutions, to reach a successful outcome where both parties are happy. They don't care if you're happy. And another main issue for them here is being tagged like a deer. All right, it's being tagged for any kind of a formal documentation where this might get them more focus on what they're doing. They try to avoid that as well. And so, especially by people that they consider beneath them, pawns, and you're a pawn, the therapist is a pawn, the secretary is a pawn, everyone's a pawn. So they have no right to judge them. Highlighting, the therapist or whoever might highlight the behavior. There might be genuine exposure, particularly if the therapist, maybe unbeknownst to them, has knowledge about personality disorders or toxic patterns, things like that. Or maybe recognizes those very obvious over time characteristic patterns that are associated with those types of personalities. So they also consider therapy to be for sheeps, for the weak-minded. And they're not weak. You're weak. They also want to prevent any third parties, whomever that may be, like third-party unbiased persons, from holding them accountable. They will avoid this all the way to the end. And especially if it's going to affect future permanent records or anything. They don't want that to kind of follow them anywhere they go. And a mere counselor, a therapist, can never judge their kind of that self-imposed omnipotence. They can't judge them. Nobody can judge them. They would never passively accept a stranger or a third party actually interrupting the newest fabricated self-serving story they're telling, or the victimhood story they're telling, as opposed to them when they're kind of out and about being the star, being the puppet master. moving around the naive little chess pieces at will. They don't like to be the one, the pawn. They want to control the pawn. And so professionals, really aren't easily fooled by these parlor tricks that work with others. They're not, a lot of them aren't really fooled by these deceptions and parlor tricks and smoke screens that they throw up. But, over time, they're probably going to notice them. So the professional environment will leave less and less wiggle room for them to kind of have that, keep control, that one-on-one control with the victim, with the spouse, with the person they're going with, right? And they can't simply just go off topic to indulge in some word salad or get some reactive abuse or, make up a lie to let somebody cry, whatever it may be. They can't pull as many manipulations. They can't deviate to another topic at will and talk about what they want. They can't do that. It'll be much more structured, right? So they're now required to remain factual, focused, focusing on really clear, stable, defined objectives, right? Really defined and measurable expectations. So they will avoid this kind of boxed in, controlled nightmare, because to them that's a nightmare, until they are literally backed into a corner and have no choice. And so, kind of to end that one off, yes, they will. Occasionally, they do attend therapy. They will attend it. They will even sometimes arrange it. But only under very, very specific conditions and with very, very specific goals in mind. Very, very specific. So one of the biggest fears here being exposure. If they sense they are especially about to be kind of publicly exposed, called out, exposed, held accountable, and any kind of like a professional setting that they can't control, they will bail, and they will bail fast. They will get out of there. Leading us to kind of the when and the why, right? The when and the why. So the when and the why here being really, they will arrange or attend these marriage or couples counseling, but kind of why. So one of the biggest reasons, I'd say the biggest reason here, is the partner or the spouse is ready to haul out. They're done. They're noticing that something here is wrong. There's something badly wrong. It is not their imagination. Something is wrong. Why? Well, I have a mini list of why the narc is going to panic here. It's to avoid abandonment, which really to them is their number one fear, abandonment. They'll have maybe no diehard kind of sneaky backup supply prepped up, and they will not leave one supply without securing another. They can't. They will also do this to avoid spousal or child support by pulling the partner back in. They will also do this as a damage control to just, restart the process, keep it going as long as they're wringing it out, right? To also just kind of manage any public perceptions out there of them through their work or whomever, and to project that image really to others that they're this caring, this empathetic partner that's just so sweet. Oh, and they even go to therapy with them and yada yada, right? They'll do this also, a big part of this, to play games. Play games, just have a good time. Play games with the therapist, play games with you, play games with the secretary, whoever. They may go also because it's court ordered, maybe drug addiction, sex addiction, something like that. And so the spouse might actually be brought in by a therapist to kind of participate in this. And also they might go, and mostly will go as well, to figure out what the partner actually knows and how they've learned it. And they do this so that later they'll know how to cover their tracks. Like, oh, how did they find out I won't do that next time? That kind of a thing. They also want to build a background, like the smear campaign. This kind of cushions it. And this will kind of, keep that kind of cushion for them later, that they helped you, that they were so kind. Or really it's, to kind of avoid people really kind of pointing at them, to say that they were kind of probably the big problem that was going on. They're the common denominator, right? And so that grandiose sense of kind of delusion, narcissists often will avoid any kind of regular or kind of marriage counseling, because it threatens their false persona, their boss. It's gonna piss the boss off, is what it's gonna do. The big boss, which is the false persona, and that boss wants perfection and no accountability. That's what they want. And it requires vulnerability they just simply can't access, and risks kind of exposing those manipulative behaviors, just bringing them out. So they see themselves truly as blameless, And also here, they view therapy as a tool for the weak, for the weak-minded, for the weak folks, fearing that also that therapist is going to call them out. Rather than agree with the victim narrative and what they're spieling about in the moment, the therapist might actually keep redirecting them and calling them out and forcing them to focus. It's really honestly used to manipulate that therapist in the moment too. And the therapist, especially if it's counseling, it's kind of geared to keep you together, not pull you apart. And it's really also going back to the beginning, to stop that partner from leaving, to pull them back into the cycle. So I'd like to hear what your experiences have ever been going to counseling with a narcissist and kind of how that ended up for you. So God bless, and keep in your light, keep in your integrity, and I'll see you next time.